so I'm going to do a demonstration of ThinkHub and all its features. And if you look up here, I'm just going to grab the pen. I'm just going to highlight this section here real quick. First, we're going to start with ThinkHub. So just to point out, what we're working on right now is a ThinkHub device. This webinar that you're seeing is coming from the ThinkHub device. You see me standing here in front of this 86-inch touchscreen. This is the actual ThinkHub device. And it has a canvas, and I can take this canvas and just move it around like this. You see on the video screen there, you can see me just moving the canvas. It's a really large canvas. It's 25 times larger than the screen, so that you have a lot of real estate to put a lot of different content. So what I'm gonna do real quick is I'm just gonna switch the the feed that I was showing you to see the actual canvas itself, so you can kind of see in better detail what's going on here. But there's some built-in apps that we have in the canvas, and I should also point out I can, I have a pen here in my hand, and I can just come up here to the canvas. I can just sketch right here on the canvas. It draws right on the canvas. I can grab this eraser. It just erases on the canvas. And we can actually do that on every object that you see on the canvas. So I already did that on, on the slide deck that we're going through. But so I'll start down here in this section. I'm just going to draw some things here so you can see where I'm pointing to on the canvas. But down in this bottom corner, there are 4 different applications. And you can see those apps are listed on the slide here also. But one of them is a web browser. So if I just tap that, it pops a web browser object up here. If I tap the note, I get a note. Tap the sketch, I get a sketch pad. And the web browser, I'll just zoom up here a little bit. You can see the web browser is just a standard web browser. It supports full multi-touch. So when I tap on the web browser once, I go into edit mode, so I can actually interact with this object. In this case, a web browser. I can go here. I can type in like T1V. It'll come up here and go to our website. So it's a full multi-touch, multimedia web browser. Watch YouTube videos in it and all that kind of stuff. The notepad. So if I tap on the notepad twice, I get a keyboard that pops up. I can type in, this is a note. Oop, not a note. Anyway, this is a note. And you can have multiple of these notes or multiple web browsers. Any of the objects that you see can have multiple of those. But you can have a lot of these notes and you're able to put those into groups and organize them and all these kind of things. And I'll show some of those features a little later. And then the sketch pad is really just for doing sketches. If you wanted to come in here, draw some kind of diagram, some different diagrams that you want to do to speak to whatever you're talking to, you can do that here with the sketch pad. Now, every object, you might notice, every object, I can just, my finger up here, I can just move it around. 2 fingers will pinch and zoom and make it smaller and larger. Even with the sketch objects, I can actually click on it once and I can kind of zoom into a section of that. Say if I wanted to draw something in finer detail right here, I could do that. And then I can just 2 fingers and zoom back out. So it's a pretty powerful tool there. The next app is the grouping app. So I'm going to pull a group. I'll just tap that and the group icon. Just going to use my hand to erase that line there. Put the group up here. I can take this note, and notice when I stick it on top of the group header, the note changes and it says add to group 1, which is the name of that group. And I'll just do the same thing with the sketch. I'll do the same thing with the web browser. All these objects then are now part of that group, and I can move these groups anywhere I want. I can resize this object. It resizes everything in the group. There's a lot of advanced features here, how many columns you want, these kind of things. I can tap this right here that says hide content, and all the content disappears. It's still in the group, and I can just make it show back up over here when I want to look at it. And of course, you can rename this group label to anything that you want. So that's our first 4 apps. The 5th application that we have is what we call the media browser. And if I just move the canvas up, there's a tray here that has file-based content in it. And this content can be either image files, movie files, or PDF files. And they might come from, a USB thumb drive that you might plug in, or they might come from a network file storage location, or they might come from a cloud-based file storage like OneDrive, Dropbox, these kind of things, Box.com. So basically, once you see this content, I can just tap it, and it'll pop that up here on the canvas, and I can just move it around, pinch and zoom, annotate on it. So in that case, it's an image. I'll come over here to this image file, and I can, if I want to, I can click here and I can actually zoom in on that image there. Pan it around inside, zoom in. I can come in here and then put some annotations on here if I wanted to, something like that. And zoom that back out. So so that's images. There's also I can back up here. It's got a full folder navigation system here. I can go in here and pull up a PDF file. Tap on the one sheets. This one is a PDF file, and you can have multiple of these up here at the same time. But you can see this PDF file actually is a multi-page document. That's why it has this arrow here. And that's actually our slide deck that we were using was the same thing. It was a PDF file. And one thing I want to point out that's pretty cool is if I annotate on this PDF, say I circle that right there, and I go to the next page, when I come back, of course, the annotation is with the correct page that you left it on. So that's a pretty cool feature. It basically means all the annotations that you do, and you can click on these documents and kind of zoom into a section too, and then draw some fine annotations if you wanted to. So this is excellent for editing PDF architectural drawings, for example. But once you have all these annotations in the PDF, you can also come down here, and there's a menu. There's a menu for all the objects, and one of the features that's in every object type is email. So I could actually email this object out with all the annotations, to a group of people if I wanted to. In addition to that feature, there's a pin where you can pin it to the canvas. There's a full screen button I can hit, which just takes that object full screen, takes everything else off the screen. And then, there's also a snapshot feature. So the snapshot feature is really cool. If, for example, I just wanted to grab an image copy of this, whatever I was looking at, I just hit that, it creates that as a separate object, which I just move over here. And that one actually is an image, not a PDF. But so that's PDF, that's images, and movies do the same thing. Movies you can pop up here, you can scrub through them live in real time. Of course, they have audio and video, and you can also take snapshots of them. So that's our file-based content that comes from the media tray. And if you notice, there's another section over here to the, and I'll just kind of highlight it right here, to the right that says devices. If you can read that, it says devices. And this is actually for all of our live content that comes in. So this is one thing that you'll see is really different. There's some different Canvas-based products in the market, but one of the things that we really excel at is showing actual live content. And some of this content can be coming in from HDMI inputs, for example, like this one. I'll just pull this up right here. This is just a media player that's connected to an HDMI input here, or other things, for example, like an actual USB camera. I can just pull this up. This is the USB camera that you're actually watching me on right now. It's coming in as a USB feed. But all of these can be live feeds. And the other thing that's really powerful about this is, we didn't really want to have to write every single application over here in the application area for ThinkHub. And we said, well, how are we going to, all these different apps that people want to use, how are we going to enable you to bring those up here, put them on the canvas, and actually interact with them? And what we did was we wrote an application called AirConnect, which Adam talked about in his slides. But AirConnect basically allows you to take your laptop, Mac, Windows, your tablet, your phone, any device that you have, cast it up here in real time, and show it as part of the canvas. And not only can you show it, at least for laptops, you can also interact with it just like it actually was running here. That's basically all of the devices in the tray. There's a few, we kind of call them power user features that are in this menu that's right here in the middle. So if I take this menu button and I tap it, you'll see, especially one of the things that's very interesting to most people is video conference applications, and you'll see those are listed right here. So this particular ThinkHub device is set up to run WebEx, Microsoft Teams, Skype for Business, Zoom, and BlueJeans. You can't use them at the exact same time, but you can have one meeting that's a Teams meeting, and you jump out of that and then go into your next meeting might be a Zoom meeting, and that would be no problem. You just go right from one to the other. And there's several other kind of high-level feature, power user features that are in this menu. But kind of the basics are, if you get the tray and the things on the screen, you're good to go for your meeting.